Let's try that again. Hope everybody can hear me. Welcome into On Deck. I'm Tyler Redmond. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. We got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, the Atlanta Braves in their second game of spring training, and it was televised today. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But before we do, just want to tell you that this video is sponsored by my good friends at Llerandi Gloves, and they are actually going to send me a glove, I believe, here pretty soon. So that'll be a fun thing to open up and show you guys. Those gloves are high quality. They're custom. However you want them, they make them. 18 different colors. The highest quality out there, if you ask me. Also, they won't break the bank. So go check them out. LlerandIGloves.com. Phone number's on the screen. Go check them out. They want you to be just as happy with your glove as you can be. So, moving on from that, let's talk about the Braves. So, a lot of good things today in spring training. And I said yesterday that the score at spring training doesn't matter, right? Of course it does to some degree, right? If you're watching a game for enjoyment, of course it does. I don't watch spring training games for enjoyment. I watch them to research. So, to me, the score does not matter. I care about what I see on the field. The product on the field. And the product on the field today was a pretty interesting sight to see. A lot of young guys stepping up. Huascar Ynoa had pretty good success today. He looked really good. Touki Toussaint for one inning looked spectacular. We're going to get into that in just a second. But offensively, the Braves looked pretty well. Acuña led off the game with a base hit. And he was, right on a fastball. And it was funny, the commentators, I don't know how many of you guys watched it, but it was obviously a Red Sox broadcast. And the commentators were, saying how much Richards was throwing fastballs, no off speed virtually. And the Braves, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the Braves attack fastballs. So that was a perfect mix. And Acuña did just that, a base hit to right field, hard hit fastball. Albies would come up, he'd have a 4-pitch walk, and they really got to Richards early. Jake Lamb would come up. He'd have a clean blooper hit to right field as well. That would be an RBI, scoring Acuña. And it was kind of strange. I didn't think he was going to make it, but I think he shocked Muto when he took that turn. And he made it home. So it was a pretty interesting thing to see there. Acuña scores early on in the game. That's what I want to see in spring training early on. It's obvious that Acuña's happy to be back. And, of course, we're all happy to have him back moving into this season. Also, Camargo would come up. He would strike out in the first inning. Phillip Ervin would have a base hit after a long at-bat. He actually watched 2 strikes, but that would load the bases. And then Contreras would walk on 4 pitches to score a run. So, in the first inning, my takeaway was that Richards was really struggling. The Braves took advantage. They were patient at the plate. They didn't even finish the inning. The Braves probably would have scored a couple more runs, but in spring training, after you throw 20 pitches, they can call you off the field. They did that to not let this guy get blown up. So it was, at the end of the first inning, it was 2 runs, 3 hits, 2 walks on only 1 out. Acuña attacked that fastball, like I said. Everyone else was pretty patient. So that's what I noticed. The bottom of the first, it looked pretty well. He really looked good. He had 2 strikeouts in the bottom of the first, and he had a ground out for J.D. Martinez. So Ynoa looked really well. I really thought he looked good. I don't think you're going to see him start any games. I think he is a bullpen guy. After seeing him today, I don't see why he couldn't be a successful one. Richards would have a much better second, and they'd move forward in the game, but Ynoa would be taken out in the second. But he never looked outmatched. He always threw competitive pitches, even on a 3-0 count, on a 3-2 count. No matter what the count was, he threw a competitive pitch. He actually walked a guy to lead off the second, and the pitch was outside, but it wasn't a bad pitch, if that makes sense. He really was being competitive. And I know it's spring training. I know these games don't matter, but that's the kind of thing I need to see moving forward into the season. Can you be competitive like that in the regular season, in the postseason, right? Can we count on you? And if it's anything like he was today, I wouldn't mind that at all. So after Ynoa threw 40 pitches, the Braves said that's enough. They took him out, and they put another pitcher in, but he would finish with 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, no hits, and 40 pitches in 2 innings. Again, I thought he looked really confident. They'd bring in Hoekstra, and Hoekstra would eventually get out after Arroyo would fly out. So, not really an eventful second inning. The top of the third, the Braves would come back for another rally. Acuña, on a full count, would ground out, but he had a good at-bat. Albies, 3-0, he had a base hit on a hard hit ground ball that actually got... It's spring training, so base hit, it was an E5. But it got past the third baseman because it was hard hit. I thought that was a good thing to see. Lamb grounded out, but he moved Albies over. Camargo had a walk. Runners on the corners. Phillip Ervin would walk. That load the bases. And Contreras, once again, comes up and has a first pitch, 2 RBI base hit. So, maybe Contreras actually competing for that catcher spot. Who would have thunk it, right? So that's a really good thing to see. But, that's kind of enough of the recap. Aside from the fact, just shouting some guys out, I thought Contreras had a really great day today. I thought that was a good thing to see moving forward into the catching position. One of those guys is going to have to step up, whether it be he, Alex Jackson, or Shea Langoliers. I lean more along the lines of they're either going to go with Alex Jackson for this season and then possibly bring up Contreras either later on or next season, or they're going to go with William Contreras and take that risk and give him some big league time. I think it's however they're feeling, at the end of spring training. We'll see. But I thought that was a really good thing to see. I thought, Touki Toussaint, I know we didn't really get to him, but Touki Toussaint had a great day today. He came out and pitched a spectacular inning. 3 strikeouts. Probably should have had 3 before it ever got there, but the ump didn't call it. I thought it was a strike 3. He thought it was a strike 3. Contreras thought it was a strike 3. The batter thought it was a strike 3. Ump didn't think it was. He went a little further, but he did get that 3rd strikeout. So Touki had a really good day. Didn't have a good second inning, but I think that's what spring training is about, right? One, you got to figure out where you're going, right? You got to figure out what you're doing. You got to get back into that rhythm, but you also got to figure out your limits, right? And I think the Braves got to figure out some of their limits. Touki Toussaint is a guy that could be a good 1-inning guy. He could be a good 3-inning guy. I don't know that he's a starter, but that's okay. If he's a 1-inning guy, put him in the 6th. I'm okay with that. But we need to know where his ceiling lies. So I thought he had a really good day today. I know that second inning was trouble, but I thought he looked pretty good, especially considering that he was removed from the roster last year. So I thought that was a very good thing to see. I thought Jake Lamb getting a couple base hits he was hitting well. I thought that was a good thing to see. Yesterday, we saw Austin Riley Dansby. Those 2 guys were hitting around. So I think the offense is going to be fine. I think your biggest question marks still remain in the bullpen and the bench. I think, and I say question marks, I've said this so many times, I don't mean that as an uncertainty of quality. I mean that more so as an uncertainty of who's going to step up. And that's what spring training is about, Who's going to step up? Who's going to take it? When roster cuts are made, who's still going to be sitting there on the bench? Who's that going to be? Camargo had a strikeout and a walk today. Jake Lamb, had a walk. He got hit by a pitch, I believe, and then he had a base hit. I think that there's a lot of time left in spring training to figure out these guys. And, hitters tend to struggle to some degree when they first get back to spring training. That was pretty evident today with the Red Sox. But the Braves were, they were doing all the right things, hustling. Acuña made it to second on a ball that he probably should have just stayed at first. Albies, same thing. They were hustling, and they were attacking early, and I like that. I think that, the spring training rules are so strange this season, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but they are strange. You could potentially only play 5 innings. You can get the inning can end after 20 pitches are thrown no matter what happens. It's just a strange situation all around, if you ask me. But beside the point, I really thought it was a good thing to see. We saw a lot. We're going to continue to see a lot of faces. I know Phillip Ervin came in today, Jake Lamb, Adrianza came in, Hoekstra came out of the pen. We're going to continue to see a lot of faces. A.J. Minter came in. That was a good one to see. But we're going to continue to see, especially the bullpen and the bench, you're going to continue to see a lot of faces. They don't need to test their starters, right? They need to test the bench. That's where the quote-unquote questions lie, is the bench and, of course, the bullpen. So I think you're going to continue to see that. You're going to continue to see competition, and that's the best thing you can see at spring training. Another guy that I didn't even mention, there is a competition in center field. I didn't even mention Christian Pache because technically by the books he didn't get a hit today. But the guy hit a homer that got robbed. And, he's showing off that power. A lot of people ask me all the time, and it's hard for me to tell you because there's not a lot out there. What's Pache's bat like? Watch some of these games. You'll see. Pache has power. He showed it off today. Would have been a home run. The outfielder caught it. It was a low fence, but he caught it. It is what it is. But it would have been cool to see, I was kind of hoping it would go over, but it is what it is. But again, he has the power to hit it over. It was opposite field too, so it makes me wonder what he would do if he pulled it. But defensively, he's by all accounts a stud. And I think he'll, at some point during the season, take over that center field job. The rumor is that either he's going to take it early on or Ender Inciarte is going to take it for the first month and a half, to get another year of control or to make sure Pache's ready, whatever the case may be. And a lot of people look at that as the Braves just keeping a star down for a little bit longer. I don't, personally. I think, if you remember Austin Riley, when he was brought up, obviously he was brought up red hot. I think that's the best thing you can do for a player because, he got the debut, he had a homer, and it was just it was a fun time to see him come up and do that. I wouldn't mind either way for Pache. I wouldn't mind because he's already had time in the big leagues. But I wouldn't mind if they brought him up when he's red hot. I wouldn't mind if they brought him up on opening day. Personally, I think if you're going to pay Ender Inciarte $8 million a year, he needs to do something, whether that be get traded or whether that be be a bench piece or whether that be your starting center fielder. He's got to be doing something. There's too much money being thrown down the drain, especially considering how tied up the Braves are at the moment. So I would really like to see him do something, and not to mention Ender. A lot of people don't like Ender. I actually have met Ender. I like him a lot personally. I know he's had some struggles, but it wasn't that long ago he had 200 hits. That's when he got that contract, and it's not his fault that he's getting paid too much, but he is. I really think that Ender could be a good trade piece for someone and help the Braves in that manner. I think he's been marvelous with handling Pache. Pache's credited him with helping him out and figuring things out in center field, because at the end of the day, Ender Inciarte is a 3-time Gold Glover. Even if the ability is not there, Ender Inciarte's knowledge is there. So I think that's certainly something he's contributing. But you get what I'm saying. We're running out of time. We got to figure out what that's going to be. And I think it's a matter of time before you do see Christian Pache in center field. But with that, that is all around spring training today. You will continue to see the Braves be successful, I think, in figuring out what their bench is going to be, what their bullpen is going to be. And I thought it was a good day for the young guys. I thought it was a good day for the veterans. Obviously, Acuña Albies had a pretty good day. A.J. Minter, I think, had a pretty good day. But I think it was more so about the young guys, and that's the way I want it. I have no questions of what Acuña is going to be, what Albies is going to be, what Dansby's going to be, I do have some questions about what Austin Riley's going to be, but I need to see the young guys, because those guys have pretty much cemented themselves onto the roster. But the competition between Johan Camargo, Adrianza, Jake Lamb, Kipnis, those kind of guys are the guys I need to see. I would personally like to see Kyle Muller, Tucker Davidson a little bit more. I want to see the young guys that are, a lot of us seem to think that are good enough to be in the MLB right now. And they very well may be. But I want to see them compete for it. We saw Philip Pfeiffer not too long ago. And I think that would be, potentially those are the kind of guys I want to see. Whether it be in the pen, whether it be, as a position player. But, I said yesterday, I know we had some streaming problems yesterday. That's why I actually popped in a little bit late tonight. I was testing everything out, wanted to make sure we're going to be good to go. But the interesting thing, I said this yesterday, I personally think that the Braves have so much depth that they have too many options in a lot of ways. Not in a bad way, just too many options, because there's too many favorites, right? I might like somebody like Kyle Muller, and you're like, no, Tucker Davidson. Pull Tucker Davidson up first. At the end of the day, the Braves know who they're going to pull up. They know what they're seeing. And we can judge the spring training games that we see, but there's a lot that we don't see. I heard one on the radio yesterday, but I didn't get to physically see it. And there's a lot of, also workouts we don't see, a lot of behind-the-scenes practices we don't see. I think there are 20-something fields, on that facility. Ain't no way we're going to see all those. So that's kind of what I think. I think we have a long way to go before the season. I think we got, another 25, 27 games of spring training left, and hopefully more or less of them will be televised, and we'll get to watch and we'll get to speculate. But, If not, we'll hear it on the radio and we'll be ready for opening day. But that's all there is around spring training for today, mostly. I'm going to get into some of you guys' comments in a few minutes. Obviously, super chats are the best way to get in touch with me quickly. It's the best way I can guarantee that I read your comment, because here lately we've had a lot more comments than we usually do. With the season heating up here pretty soon. But I thought, again, today was a very good day. Just overall, I really thought that it was a good thing to see Touki have a day like he did, and I thought that was fun. I thought it was a fun thing to see, more or less. I think Tookie's a guy we all sort of root for. He's a guy that's raised up in the Braves organization, and a guy that we want to see be successful. Last year we were hoping he could be a starter, because we were hoping anybody could be a starter. But if he can be a bullpen piece, a successful bullpen piece, that is something that I think would be good for him. And when I say bullpen piece, I think a lot of people take that as a negative. I don't think that's a demotion. I think it's more so I think it more so fits into your style, a lot more so than just you're demoted to the bullpen. It's not a demotion. It's whether or not you can pitch 6 innings or whether or not you can pitch 2. That's the difference. So I think that we're going to talk about this for a second. I mentioned this yesterday in my stream, but with the problems, I'm going to restate it. The bullpen, bringing guys in like Kyle Muller, Tucker Davidson, Touki Toussaint, guys that just either aren't going to beat out somebody on the starting rotation or have been right there. Sean Newcomb, just right there on the borderline in the bullpen and starting rotation. Obviously, I think everyone wants to be a starter, but not everybody can be. And with the rotation we have right now, I've heard the conversations of, Drew Smiley not being good enough over Tucker Davidson or whoever in the minor leagues. I disagree. If major league experience to me is the best thing you can have. And Drew Smiley's a more than capable starter. I would prefer to go with somebody proven, especially since we signed him to a deal. With that said, I would personally like to see Tucker Davidson enter the bullpen at some point this season, if given that opportunity. If, there are open spots, I would like to see Kyle Muller get that spot. Max Fried a couple years ago, was in the bullpen, and he credited that with his success. Okay, so there is nothing wrong with starting out as a bullpen pitcher. I don't have any problem with giving a young guy that opportunity. And a lot of people say, no, you should bring him up as a starter. I disagree. I think any time is better than no time. So with that said, when it comes to the bullpen, it gives you the opportunity to get out of trouble, figure out how to get out of trouble, gives you valuable experience late in games, high-pressure situations potentially. So I think it'll be interesting. I want to see... we have so many young arms, arms that we don't really even know about yet. And I think it's a matter of time before we start seeing those move into the major leagues, as we have over the years. The Braves they have so many prospects. And when you map it out, I really think that the Braves believe in their prospects more than they believe in the free agency market, more than they believe in the trade market. Because you're not seeing any prospects being traded away. There's a reason for that. You're not seeing us go get Mike Clevenger. Reason being, they want Drew Waters. They want Tucker Davidson. They want Kyle Muller. They want Ian Anderson, right? I think that ultimately they know what they have more than anyone else, and they're keeping their chips where they belong. So I think that's all it really is. We're going to move into you guys' comments in a few minutes. Obviously, we got Autograph of the Day coming up. Got a good one for you today. I'm going to go through some flea market finds. I got a few that I put together, and I believe it all cost me less than $100. So I'm going to show you some things. Some are little things, some are big things. But it all cost me less than $100. So we're going to go through that in just a few minutes. It might surprise you. But we're going to go through that in just a few minutes. All right, but let's get to some of you guys' comments. Again, guys, Super Chats is the best way to get in contact with me on here. That's just ultimately the best way to get in touch with me. I got so many of you guys popping in. I got to go back all the way to the beginning of the stream. If you want to talk to me, best way Super Chats. And, of course, they're appreciated. So let's hop into it. It's early. All right. Let me see. Okay, yeah, you talk about the Red Sox announcers. Look, imagine being a Red Sox fan and listening to Chip Carey and Jeff Francoeur. I think anytime you watch another team's broadcast, they're going to be slightly biased, right? Whether or not they're trying to be or not. I certainly think the conversation they were having over Ynoa early on in the game, that was getting old. He was saying no breaking balls in spring training this early, that kind of thing. I disagree. Pitchers got to get through spring training too. They got to test their pitches, and especially a guy like Ynoa. Ynoa is trying to prove himself. Ynoa's been kind of up and down, less than a lot of other guys, but he has been up and down in recent years. And I think that Ynoa needs to show off what he's got and earn his spot. So for a guy, to be watching a game and saying you can't throw breaking balls, that's a very old school mentality. I disagree. I am very much on the let the kids play attitude. In that regard, that's how I am. The bat flips don't bother me. I maybe it's because I'm young. I don't know. But the old school mentality, some things I agree with, and that I just, it's like they make up rules a lot of the time, and I just didn't agree. I think that at spring training, it's an opportunity to get back in shape. It'd be different if it was Max Fried, right? That might be different. But for a guy like Ynoa, a young guy, he's 22 years old. He's going to bust out whatever pitch he can to get whoever out, and they did it really early on, and he was successful once he got to, he used those breaking balls. He got 4 strikeouts on breaking balls, and that might be because it's spring training, sure, but why not allow him to test his pitches? Don't you want your players to see breaking balls, get adjusted to them earlier the better? J.D. Martinez said last year that he never really got comfortable in the batter's box because he wasn't ready when the 60-game season started, and I can understand that. But at the same point, don't you want to see some breaking balls? So I just didn't really understand a lot of that. But it is what it is. That's their opinion, and it is a Red Sox broadcast. So they're trying to appeal to their audience. I tried to appeal to mine. So who am I to criticize them? D.B. Cooper says the Red Sox looked horrible. I didn't think they looked that bad. I mean, you got to think about where they were last year. They were at the bottom of the totem pole last year. They had, I think, the worst OPS in their organization's history. So Alex Cora, as much as out there about him, Alex Cora is a successful manager. It'll be interesting to see how they do. It this season after because 2018 they had the World Series, and it wasn't that long ago. They're kind of in a rebuild stage. The Red Sox actually said that they're not rebuilt, but they are retooled, and I think that's a good way to put it. They have some new pieces in the coaching staff, obviously Alex Cora, but some others. It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back, if they're even competitive near October. Alex Cora seems to think, he's getting paid to say it, but Alex Cora seems to think they're going to be a team that can compete for October. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see. But it'll be fun as well. Corey Yan says, could we see Muller this spring training? I think so. I think Muller, I'm not going to say he's right on par with Ian Anderson. That's not at all what I'm going to say. But what I am going to say is he's a guy that I think could follow in those footsteps. And I don't think he's that far behind. I think Muller, I think it's a matter of time before you see him, whether it be in MLB, or knocking on the door of it. I think we're going to see him at some point. It'll be interesting. Mab, if Bryce Ball wins AAA MVP and Triple Crown, should Braves let Freddie leave? They could trade him at the deadline or let him leave as a free agent and receive draft compensation, both first base only. No. You don't get rid of your MLB MVP to get a AAA MVP. You let... There's a transitional thing about it. Obviously, Freddie's got max, he's 30 now. He's got max about 10 years, right? So I would say 5 of those are prime. I don't let Freddie walk out the door. Freddie has been your cornerstone. He has stuck with the Braves through thick and thin. Freddie is the guy that they've built around. Why would you let a rookie no offense to Bryce Ball, he's got a lot of potential, but I'm not picking Bryce Ball over Freddie Freeman no time soon. So I really think that I just don't see that. I think you're more so looking at, I would prefer to trade Bryce Ball than watch Freddie walk out the door. And I don't think that'll come back to bite me. But, yeah, as good as a rookie can do, right, how does that translate to MLB, right? Austin Riley absolutely tore through the minors. He came to the MLB, and he tore through the MLB for a month, but then it hit him, it was just a closed door at some point. So, no, I can't see that. I think you either do your best to keep Bryce Ball around, or he becomes a trade piece and gets you a very valuable prospect that fits into your organization slightly better. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to figure out a way to keep him. And to be honest with you, I would not be surprised if the DH is around next season. There have been debates over it for years now, more than ever this season. So I think it's a matter of time before you see that happen. But it's not a bad question. I just don't think that's going to be the case, personally. We'll see. Again, I just can't see getting rid of a guy who's carried you, in a lot of ways through the tough years, stuck with you when he could have left, probably made more money, had better stats, stayed with the team because he wants to be here. And that's another thing. He wants to be here. Who's to say Bryce Ball won't leave you after his contract is up? And I don't think that'll happen either. I'm not throwing shade here, but I go with the guy that's been loyal to me and been successful in the batter's box at a major league level. Let me see. Contreras is looking for that backup box of biscuits. I hear you. Yeah, I agree. Contreras, I think, to me, if I had to pick, which, look, I don't see these guys every day. I don't know this. I don't know the ins and outs, right? I don't know how Alex Jackson actually, is at the batting cage, is in the workout room. I don't know. Maybe they see upside with the pitching staff with Alex Jackson. Obviously, it's a little bit different. I think William Contreras is the guy. I just do. Shea Langoliers is about a year or two away. Alex Jackson, to me, would be a really good trade piece. I just don't see William Contreras not getting that. But I digress. We'll see. A long time away. Trade Alex Jackson, Luke Jackson, Ender, and maybe Waters for a nice trade package. Well, no offense, but you're not going to get anything out of Alex Jackson, Luke Jackson, and Ender. No knock on Alex Jackson, but Ender's eating an $8 million contract and not playing every day, and Luke Jackson, but I just don't think you're going to get a trade piece. You have to throw Waters in for a nice trade package. To be honest with you, Luke Jackson and Ender are a detriment to whoever receives that trade package, because if they send one player over here, they're now eating some of that salary for Ender, taking Luke Jackson and doing something with him. Alex Jackson potentially could be a backup catcher, maybe even a starter, I guess. And then you got a left fielder and a Waters, but ultimately, for the time being, that's a detriment. So I think I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't think it's going to be a trade they make. Waters could be a trade piece, but he said the other day that he would take less pay to stay in Atlanta. So it'll be interesting to see. I just don't think that's the move. I don't think they want to get rid of Waters anytime soon. I really don't. I don't know what they're going to do because there's not 4 outfielders. But, they already got Marcell Ozuna. They pretty much said Pache is your center fielder, and Ronald Acuña is not going anywhere. So I wonder what they're going to do with Waters. I don't really see a spot for him unless they can adapt him to another position. Maybe he's a DH candidate, in a year or two, if that were to happen. But I think you're more apt to get something if you just trade Alex Jackson and Waters. You can maybe throw Luke Jackson in there, but I because he's only making $2 million as opposed to $8 million. But I think you're more apt to get something if you do that. Personally, I just think you throw Ender in there, you throw Luke Jackson. It's just a little too much of, well, what can we do with this? When a team receives it, and I mean no offense to any of those guys, but it's just a matter of their deal and their ability. I just think a lot of teams look at that and go, it's not really a lot of benefit. It's more so middle of the road, not really a trade that catches my interest. Corey Yan says, "Could we pay someone to take Luke Jackson? We could have let him loose. The Braves actually paid him $2 million to stay this year, so pretty interesting to see. I look, Luke Jackson's a guy. I don't groan like a lot of people I think do when Luke Jackson comes out. I am on pins and needles, and it's not a knock on him. It's just some days he has good days. Some days he doesn't allow a run, but I'll be darned if there's not a base runner or two, So it's not every reliever is going to be a shutout reliever. He's a guy I think that can go longer relief if needed, so he is valuable in that regard. I just, he's become kind of a meme in Braves culture, so I we'll see. Let me see. I'm sorry. Yeah, Atlanta Kid brings up a good point here. Spring training games show the depth of each organization. I agree, and I think that's what you're looking at now. We're not watching spring training to watch Freddie Freeman hit batting practice. That's not what we're doing. We are watching spring training to see, we want to see the starters do well. Don't get me wrong. I was, can Acuña hit a leadoff homer? That'd be pretty cool. If he did that today. But I'm more so looking to see the competition between the bench and the bullpen, and that's what you're talking about here, the depth. Because in the bullpen and the bench, that is all depth. There's a couple guys like Chris Martin, like AJ Minter, that are pretty much set in stone. They're going to be bullpen pieces, part of that foundation. But I'm not looking to see them do well. I'm looking to see guys like Adrianza pop off on spring training, or Jason Kipnis look like former Jason Kipnis. Guys like that. Johan Camargo. He spent all that time in the Dominican League. I was really intrigued to see what he would do today. Nothing ended up happening of note necessarily, but I was really interested to see what that would look like. And he also played shortstop today, so I think they're going to do their best to make him as versatile as possible to get him on that bench. I think he'll be on that bench. I don't think that's a problem, but it would allow them to carry one more pitcher if he can play shortstop as well as a backup for Dansby. So that'll be interesting to see. Trying to look for a comment, guys. Sorry. A lot of conversation about Bryce Ball and Freddie Freeman I'm seeing. I can't read it all. Sorry, but there's a lot of competition about, a lot of people, a lot of talk about Bryce Ball, and rightfully so. Bryce Ball is a guy that, for us to know about Bryce Ball at the level he's at right now, in the way that we do, and I don't mean just know about him, because we knew about Pache, we knew about other guys, Acuña, we knew about all them in lower level minor leagues, but for us to talk about him like he's Babe Ruth says something, okay? The guy's got unlimited potential, a lot of power, tons of power, but I really think that I just don't say you get rid of Freddie. I just don't understand that mentality, and it's no offense, I just don't understand it. And not to say I don't care what he does in minor leagues, because I certainly do. I just don't think he's going to knock off Freddie Freeman. And it may be, here I'll throw this in there. It may be that you see Freddie Freeman in a couple years take a DH role. First baseman, it's not really a defensive. Freddie obviously wants to play first, don't get me wrong. But at a certain point, his knees might not be that great. Sound familiar? Sounds like Chipper. It may be that they defensively look elsewhere, and that might be Bryce Ball. But for right now, I just could not see you getting rid of a guy that just won the MVP and has been loyal to your organization for over a decade. I just personally can't see it. Atlanta Kid puts in his bench prediction: Lamb, Ender, Contreras, Kipnis, and Johan. I would have to look at it again. Honestly, I'd have to sort of look at all the options again. I was reading an article by Mark Bowman a couple days ago, and he kind of gave his predictions. They looked something along that, but I don't think he included Ender. And I think he may have. There was somebody in that list he didn't include. And he said that he really honestly thinks that the last bench piece is going to be somewhere not on the roster. So that meaning a trade, that meaning, a free agency pickup. be interesting to see. Ozzie Albies still out there, just saying. So we'll see. But no, I think the Braves still have some options elsewhere. But if I were to pick it right now, that's probably something along the lines of what I would pick. Contreras being a for sure. Kipnis, I think, being a for sure. Johan, I think, being a for sure. Jake Lamb, if he plays like he did today, would be just fine. Ender's the one that I go, don't know. I just don't know. We'll see. Seth Mellon, risky take. Pache definitely isn't a Braves culture player. Trade him to the Red Sox for some studs. No, Pache's a guy that I think Pache is going to be a guy for the future. I mean, I think he's a guy that fits right into that Andrew Jones model, defensive over anything else, and I really think I think he's a kid. He's younger than me, I think. So I think Pache is going to be just fine, personally. Let me see. Freddie will be a DH in about 4 years. Yeah, William, you're hearing me out there. You're hearing my take on that. But, yeah, so I think that's about all we got for tonight, guys. I think that's honestly about all we got. But, yeah, a lot of conversation. It's obvious when spring training rolls around that, these conversations start happening. What if we lose Freddie Freeman? When that comes up, you got a lot of options. But, yeah, I think there's a lot of conversation yet to be seen. There's a lot in spring training yet to be seen. I think we'll have a lot more exciting conversations like this pretty soon. I am going to hop out of here in just a few minutes. So if you want if you got any last thing, get it in. But we are going to move into Autograph of the Day in just a minute. Got a pretty good segment for you planned today. I really put some effort into today. Yesterday I showed you Dale Murphy. I don't know how many of you guys saw it, but I got a Dale Murphy bat. I showed you that one yesterday. The live stream was really not having a good situation last night for some reason. But I can only do what I can do. YouTube was really having some trouble. But, yeah, last night we showed you a Dale Murphy bat that I've had for years. It's actually a bat that my dad had when he was a kid, and we got it signed a few years ago. It cost me absolutely nothing, but it's one of my favorite pieces. All right, this is the last question. Based Alaska, did you play Little League? If so, where? Yes, I did play Little League. When my 12-year-old year was my last year. My 12-year-old year was my last year. Justin Redmond, I don't know what questions you're asking. Get it in there. Guys, if you want me to answer your questions, you got to super chat. That's the only way I can guarantee it. I have a lot to look at right now. I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking at my actual system that I operate with. You got to cut me some slack there. But yeah, Little League. So 12-year-old year was the last year, and then I actually wrestled in high school, believe it or not. But the last year I played, I was at Northern Little League. That was I'm based out of Columbus, Georgia. It's about 2 hours south of Atlanta, hour and a half south of Atlanta. But I played at Northern Little League. I went to city championship, and I got a story about it. I'm not going to bore you right now, but I did. I did play that last year. I do have a story that's kind of funny, but beside the point, Northern Little League actually won the Little League World Series in '07. That's well before my time. This is about 2012 when I'm coming through. But yeah, they are very competitive over there, especially in my childhood, especially around the time of my childhood. They were very competitive. I was on a good team. We went to city championship my Little League year, just as a regular team. And I had a very, looking back on it, I don't think I knew at the time just how good my team really was. But yeah, a lot of good memories there, and a lot of fun. A lot of guys that when I see them at Walmart nowadays or something, it always makes us crack a smile. But yeah, I encourage any kid to go play Little League. Oh geez. I became a worldwide phenomenon as a wrestler. I was a pretty good wrestler. I was a lightweight, but I was pretty good. I went to state twice. I was pretty good. I was team captain senior year. Kind of proud of all that. But yeah, Seth Mellon, I hear you. The Big Hurt territory. Yeah, he's from right here in my hometown. He actually shouted out Columbus, Georgia in his Hall of Fame speech. Went to Columbus High School. I went to his rivalry school around the corner, Hardaway. But yeah, Big Hurt territory. We have a park here for minor leagues, Golden Park, and there's a big board of all the players that have played there. Babe Ruth's on there, Ty Cobb's on there, Shoeless Joe Jackson, names that you wouldn't think. And then there's Chipper Jones, Frank Thomas, names like that. It's kind of cool. It's a very historic place there. But yeah, Frank Thomas is from right here in my hometown. A lot of people around here know him. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I know Frank. Yeah, his baseball coach actually was recently coaching at another school right in town, like right across the river here. So, Frank Thomas. Actually, we're going to talk about Frank Thomas in just a few minutes. We're going to move into autograph of the day, though. So let's get into that. I got a pretty exciting one for you today. Got a lot of little stuff, a lot of big stuff. So I got 3 things, okay? I got 3 things total, and they all cost me less than $100 total. Let me see how this... Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is actually not sports related, believe it or not, but it is an autograph that I personally really, really like. I don't know how many of you guys watch Marvel. I don't know at all. Like, I really don't know how many of you guys watch that. I am very much a nerd when it comes to 2 things, Star Wars and Marvel. Okay, and there's a lot of, some things you want, you just got to buy when it comes to autographs. It's just a reality of it. And I saw this I saw it at a flea market. I know it's real, got it authenticated, but it is a comic book, and it is signed by none other than Stan Lee. I don't know how well you can see it. I hope you can. But it is signed by Stan Lee right there. So that cost me $18 total. They didn't know what they had. I lucked out. I figured it was worth the risk. Got it authenticated. It is indeed real. Stan Lee signed comic book. So that's a really cool piece. The other piece I spent $30 on, and you guys I think are gonna be pretty shocked by this one. I spent $30 on this at a flea market. These are all flea market finds, by the way. I do a lot of tinkering at flea markets, but I found this for $30. It's a baseball, and it is signed by none other than, I think, one of the best hitters of all time, one of the best hitters in at least recent memory, in terms of just getting a base hit. Tony Gwynn, $30. Right there in Phoenix City, Alabama, of all places. So, look, I encourage you, if you see a flea market on the road somewhere, stop in, just take a look. The last piece I'm going to show you is, I actually found it at the same place. I found it for $50. And it does involve Frank Thomas. It is a bat, and it is signed by Frank Thomas. Now, this is kind of near Auburn. I don't know how many of you guys know this, but Frank Thomas actually played baseball and football at Auburn. I actually interviewed his coach, Pat Dye. He's on that helmet behind me. But, yeah, $50. So, for about $80, I got a Frank Thomas signed bat. Well, less than $100. I got a Frank Thomas signed bat, a Stan Lee signed comic book, and a Tony Gwynn signed baseball. So, look, I encourage you, next time you see a flea market, just stop in. It's worth the stop. I promise you. So, yeah, so those are all my flea market finds. I actually have another one. I'm going to just move my head a little bit. That one right there is Whitey Ford. I got that for $12 at a flea market right here near my hometown. But in terms of, I don't know how many of you guys live around the Atlanta area. If you live around the Atlanta area, I have one place that you need to go if you're a sports fan. That is BP Sports. Okay, it's Marietta. It's at the Cobb Antique Mall, 2800 Canton Road. It's where I do most of my interviews, actually. Those guys are great. They know they're talking. They know what they're talking about. They have good prices. They have fair prices, and they have a lot of good stories. Bob Presley over there, BP Bob Presley, has a lot of good connections. Charlie Culberson goes in there regularly when he played for the Braves. Mike Fultonevich was real active over there. He has a lot of good connections with current players, but he has a lot of good connections with former players too. Brought in Ted Williams, a few years ago. Mickey Mantle. If you ever heard the story of Mickey Mantle and Chipper Jones meeting, they met at a signing at BP Sports. So that place has a very, very good reputation. I would go check them out if I were you. Go give them some money. Trust me, you'll walk. Look, I've taken my friends over there. They didn't want to believe me when I told them how good it was. I took one of my friends there when we were on the way to Tennessee. I was like, come on, let's just stop here for a minute. He stopped in and he was blown away by him. So look, I encourage you, go check it out. I really think it's worth your time. But yeah, I hope you enjoy Autograph of the Day. I really enjoy showing you guys some of my collection. I have a lot of stuff put in boxes and stuff. So I'll never run out of content, I don't think. But yeah, so again, we got a Frank Thomas bat, Stan Lee signed comic book, and a Tony Gwynn signed baseball, all for less than $100. So that segment is, of course, sponsored by my friends at Llerandi Gloves. Llerandi Gloves is the best glove company out there, in my opinion, in terms of quality, in terms of price. No better. They are sending me a glove. I heard that today. I'm very excited to get that, so I will show it to you guys when it gets here. I saw a picture of what it's possibly going to look like today, and it looks pretty cool. So I may do an unboxing video. I may just show you on here. We'll see. But either way, I'm very excited to show you that, and it'll be coming in the mail hopefully one day this week. So yeah, Llerandi Gloves, LlerandIGloves.com, and of course, phone number is right there on the screen. Go check those guys out. Go throw them some money too. Trust me, you'll be glad you did. So again, Llerandi Gloves. The link is in the description. Best glove out there, in my opinion. But that's all for today, guys. I am going to hop out of here. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Always enjoy talking to you guys about Braves baseball, and the fact that it's back always brings a smile to my face. So yeah, Braves baseball is back. Spring training is back, and regular season is not too far away. To stay tuned with everything going on in Major League Baseball, stay with everything going on with Braves country, I suggest you like this video, you shoot it to your friends, and you also subscribe to this channel, hit the bell for notifications so you can stay updated with everything Braves related. I pretty much try to stay on top of everything I can. If not in a live broadcast, I try to do a pre-recorded thing and just get it out there as a PSA. But yeah, I will keep you updated. Of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at BubblegumJesus. Do that. I'm out there. Trust me, it'll be a good thing to do. So really helps me out too. But I'm gonna hop out of here, guys. Thank you guys for hopping in the chat tonight. Really appreciate the conversation there. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I'm Tyler Redmond. I'll see you next time on deck.